Hey, welcome. It's me, Dave LaMont, back with the Nooner after a couple of days off for travel, visiting Ohio, oddly enough, and what a time to be in the Cleveland area. But anyway, back for work today. I'm not so sure about Monday, but yeah, I won't be. I'm traveling the next couple of Mondays, so I'll be doing just Fridays for a little while. Anyway, there is a lot for me to prattle on endlessly about with no direction whatsoever. So let's get right into it, because imagine the preseason the National Football League is having. You've got maybe your second biggest name in the entire league, Aaron Rodgers, behind Tom Brady, talking about taking some kind of psychedelic tea or something that helps him maintain clarity and focus. Now, I don't know if Rodgers just says stuff to say stuff, but he gets enough attention as it is as a quarterback for a legacy franchise and a future Hall of Famer and a personality in his own right, whether you like him or not. So I actually believe him. You've got the mess involving Deshaun Watson. Talk about that here shortly. That's bad for the NFL. It's terrible for the NFL. And now it's going to be turned over to another independent person. Although how independent are you if you're picked by the commissioner, who could have ruled on this himself, but decided, I'll let somebody else be the bad guy here because they're going to hammer this guy. But anyway, more on that. And now, just in the backyard where I live, the owner of the Dolphins, Stephen Ross, is caught with all 10 fingers in a cookie jar trying to get Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, and Sean Payton out of his New Orleans Saints contract. You see, the NFL doesn't really dig it if you try to talk to people who have a contract. It's called tampering, and he got caught, period. It's a bit of an expensive price, the $1.5 million, just like a blink for Ross. That's nothing. The loss of a first-round draft pick could be something, and the loss of a third-round draft pick down the road, well, you never know how that's going to pan out. And we'll forget about that by 2024 anyway, until we're reminded about it. It's just an embarrassment for the franchise. There is a ton of positive buzz around the Dolphins in the first few days of the training camp. The crowds have been large. You've had Tyreek Hill out playing hype man and getting everybody excited. And people genuinely believe that this team will be better than last year and could very well be a playoff team. And in that division, with only one team that looks to be better, Buffalo, not New England, certainly not the Jets, you have a reason to be an optimist. I understand all of that. And then this, and it's more of a black eye than anything else. It is just a bruise that's not going to go away quickly. But let's face it, Ross screwed up. Now, if you're yelling, sell the team, take the team away from him, let me remind you that the guy who is the heir apparent to taking the team has been banned for a year from any kind of league meetings and things like that. Ross himself is out for 6 games that he can't attend, although I believe he can go to his office and hang around during the week, but he can't go to 6 games. He's banned from league meetings. He's stripped of all of his committee assignments, and that's actually important. These are the guys who help direct the future of the game, some of these committees. It's important. So he got drilled. And even Roger Goodell, who is as plain as these little pair of socks here, which aren't mine, my feet are much bigger than that. Even Goodell admitted this was pretty blatant. I think he said it was the worst example of tampering he'd ever seen. So when you screw up down here, you screw up bigly. So I remember laughing a year ago when all the Brady to the Dolphins stuff came out, because I thought it was a crock. Why would he leave Tampa and a good situation? Well, hell, they were trying to get him after he signed with New England his last year, which was, by all accounts, now that we're hearing, a miserable year for Brady. Even though they started out well, they faded. They were really nothing. Very blah, very bland. And off he goes to Tampa and wins a Super Bowl. And last year almost got them in another one. If you remember, they were coming back big time on the Rams before the Rams held them off. So I don't know when Brady's going to quit. And there was all this talk also about Brady coming down here, playing and having an ownership position. Well, it turns out that's a lot more complicated than you think. And the NFL would have almost certainly blocked that from happening, because you have to get approval for these sorts of things. So what do you get out of it? Absolutely nothing but embarrassment and a loss of credibility for your fans. And then the whole is he a good owner debate. Well, you can argue two sides. One, no. Has the team achieved under his ownership? Well, they've achieved all right, but they've achieved some of the worst teams they've ever had in this franchise's history. They chased after Jim Harbaugh because there's the Michigan connection there. That didn't work out. Chased after Brady, Michigan connection. That didn't work out, and that came with a heavy price tag. Made the playoffs? Yeah. Hired and fired coaches like crazy? Yeah. Maybe they've got a good new coach here and Mike McDaniel. Don't know yet. No way you can judge until the wins and losses start coming in. So, no, it has not been the most successful tenure on the field. Now, the Ross fans will go, but wait a minute. Basically a new stadium. I mean, if you compare, for those of you who live in the area, you compare what that stadium was like when it was first built to what it is like now, it is drastically different and more than likely for the better, except for the effed up parking. And the reason the parking is effed up is because you have a tennis tournament in one of the part of the parking lot, a Grand Prix track in another part of the parking lot. And, is that beneficial? Well, for the area, it is. That tennis tournament, which used to be in Key Biscayne, is an important part of the South Florida sports calendar. It really was and still is. The Grand Prix, is there a hotter sport than Grand Prix right now? Maybe not. So getting it to Miami was a coup. So it hasn't been a complete disaster. But as far as football goes, which is what most of you all care about, yeah, it hasn't been good. But you know what? If Dan Snyder can own a team, Stephen Ross can own a team. Period. It reminds me a little bit, and I'm going to curse here, so just be on the lookout. I'm going to say a swear, of the scene in the movie Animal House, where they take the car, Flounder's car, or his brother's car, out for a road trip. Road trip. Well, you know how the road trip goes. They're all over the place. They go to the Dexter Lake Club, wreck the car. And so Flounder is quite upset. And in this case, Flounder is the Dolphins fans. And, the car's been wrecked. How are we going to fix it? It just doesn't seem possible. My brother's going to kill me. And Otter, played by Tim Matheson, puts his arm around Flounder and goes, face it. You fucked up. You trusted us. And that's how you have to feel if you're a Dolphin fan. You trusted the owner to at least follow the rules. Okay, so you couldn't get Brady here. Well, you've thrown every single chip in with Tua's name on it, right? And if I'm Tua, I'm like, I know Brady's good, but come on, man, give me a shot here. So, yeah, face it, you trusted him. But no, it's not like the NFL is going to go, you're not a worthy owner. I'm sorry. Take a number. If Snyder can still own a team, at this point, any criminal in any prison anywhere in the United States can own a football team. That's how bad Dan Snyder is. Take it from a Washington guy. All right? It's embarrassing. So that's one thing. I have no sympathy for Stephen Ross here at all. I feel badly the fans had some of their enthusiasm derailed. It is a cloud, or to borrow the Joe Jackson phrase, a big black cloud. It will go away. And as soon as you start winning, if you do, then fans will forget that until next year's draft. Speaking of attitudes that are only about winning football games, let's go back to Northeastern Ohio, where I just happened to be there. The morning that the Deshaun Watson decision of 6 games was announced, I'm like wheels up. And saw it just before I got inside the airplane. Remember, you don't get on the plane, you get in the plane. And I went, ooh. Now, I had several discussions with my friend Jamie, who retired this weekend from Cleveland.com, working in the sports department as an editor and an occasional writer. And needless to say, at his retirement, many retirement parties, I was speaking to some of his colleagues from the paper. Everybody thought it was going to be between 4 and 8 games for Watson up there. Everybody this little group and these guys know what they're talking about. They're wired into the Browns writer, Mary Kay Cabot. And they thought, you know what, if Goodell is kind of backing away, it's going to be 4 to 8 games and lands right in the middle of that on 6. Is that enough? Hell to the no, it's not enough. Because if you walk around thinking Deshaun got jobbed or is innocent or something, you haven't been reading any of the stuff that's come out. I mean, you are blind. So now the league sees this, and what do they hear? a lot of angry people. Fans, non-fans, maybe people who aren't football fans or sports fans who've been following this as a human interest story and seeing what's going to happen to somebody who appears to have a little bit of a problem with, and also the report, 66 different massage therapists who aren't licensed and how the Houston Texans enabled this. Oh, don't forget about their complicity in all of this. The Browns, they screwed up by trading for this guy. And oh, by the way, the Dolphins kicked the tires on Deshaun Watson, and so did other teams. He's a generational talent as a quarterback. He was great at college at Clemson, and he was very good in the NFL with what turned out to be, at the end, a franchise that was so bad he didn't even play last year. Part of it, of course, had to do with all of these massage issues. So, but here, you know what drove me nuts? While this is going on, before the decision's handed down, he's practicing with the Browns, who gave up a lot to get him. And fans are mobbing the guy for autographs. First off, I would yell, be careful. You don't know where those hands have been. That's one. Secondly, really? Are you that desperate as a fan to be attached to a potential winner? We don't know how Watson's going to respond a year out of football, that you'll be happy, unless you're one of these weirdo collectors who's going to go, hey, look what I got, Deshaun Watson's autograph. Guy's not playing for a year. How much do you want? Well, it ain't going to get you Honus Wagner money, pal. I know fans want to be attached to a winner. I have my own teams that I root for. Right now, as a Baltimore Orioles fan, even though I'm disappointed and they traded Trey Mancini, they're having a pretty cool year and maybe building a nice little run here in a very difficult division with the Yankees running away with it. The Rays are always a pain in the ass. If you're an Orioles fan, Boston is up and down, lately down. The Blue Jays have a lot of young talent. It's a hard division, okay? But yet, there's some promise here. And I like that. It's good for the ego. So I know the mentality of the fan. I understand that. But are you that diseased? Do you have it that badly that you've got to attach yourself to somebody who is very damaged goods? And now, by the way, you darn well know that 6 games is not going to be 6 games. If he plays at all this season, I will be surprised. And I'm also guessing that he's going to have to write a rather large check. Now, should he be banned for life from football? I don't know. And I listen, I've heard all the arguments about, well, so-and-so smoked weed. He lost all this time. This guy gambled a little bit on football. He lost this time. I'm not sure these are comparable. Gambling on football isn't technically illegal, but by the code of the NFL and the CBA you signed, you're not supposed to do that. People like you and I can do it all day. But the weed part, there still seems to be this stigma surrounding marijuana that is so old-fashioned that it's going to be hard to break through that. Even though it is, medical marijuana is cropping up everywhere, legal marijuana is starting to crop up everywhere, nearly everywhere. But there's still going to be some people who have that mentality, reefer madness mentality that it's a killer and it's bad and all that. I know, I understand. If you feel that way, that's fine. That's your opinion. So this is a little bit of a different case. This is more criminal than a violation of a contract. So it's that too. So I'm dying to see how this is going to turn out. I think we all have a pretty good idea. Another thing that speaking of drug possession in this case, the Brittney Griner case seems to be now, we're at a point where I'm not sure what else can be done here except whatever swap is being negotiated. I would have to assume that now that they've been handed down that 9-year sentence, I would be shocked if she serves 9 years, maybe 9 more days, maybe 9 months. But it looks to be that negotiations are, and there's so much. You talk about that line from The Godfather. There are things going on behind the scenes that'll answer all your questions. This is one of those cases. The White House has come out against it. The WNBA and the NBA, the commissioner, Adam Silver, and the WNBA folks are totally against it. There's a lot of support for her. And then a few others who were saying, hey, why'd you do it? If you know what it's like over there, why'd you even smuggle like a pin drop of this stuff? Never mind. And it wasn't very much, or it isn't very much. But nevertheless, you know where we are on this. I have to also believe that this is going to come to an end. Sooner than later, I'm not a legal guy, and I'm certainly not an expert in swapping prisoners. But I'm expecting that this will happen maybe by the end of the year, if not sooner. Now, do you buy her arguments? Well, can you prove that she is lying? I'm into proving things. You can have all the speculation you want, and I speculate on things too, but ultimately I'd like to have a little proof. So if you can prove that she's lying about rushing and needing the stuff, and even though a doctor came in and said, look, she does need cannabis because her body is a half of a wreck for playing basketball year round, which does happen to people, then prove to me that, she's some international drug smuggler, and I'll consider not hoping that she gets home soon. But until you can prove that, we kind of have to take their word or her word, pardon me, that she screwed up. She trusted herself. She, bleeped up. What? Oh my God, yes. And non-jail controversy drama. And by the way, don't ask me about last night's preseason game. First off, I didn't even know there was one. Secondly, it's the preseason. What's the mantra? Please don't let anybody important get hurt between now and the first night of the season. Same with college football. Right now, look what happened with Denver. They lost a very promising receiver. Tim Patrick was becoming a big-time guy for them. And here they have, Russell Wilson, an established quarterback. First time they've had an established quarterback since Peyton Manning. And what happens? He loses a key receiver. What's the whole point of the preseason? Avoid injuries. Same goes for your favorite college or university, which, by the way, looks like the season's going to wind up like every other season does. Alabama, Ohio State, somebody else. It's the usuals. There is a bit of a parity issue right now, even with these NILs. We'll see if maybe some name schools like UM, like Florida, like Texas, like USC can rebound, which would be great for the sport. We do desperately need some fresh names. We do in college football because interest in the playoff, which is staying at 4 teams for a while. So let's put that debate way in the closet until we get near the very end of the contract and we can, debate the expansion. That's a tired issue, man. That has got to go in the freezer until it's ready to come out. I can't stand talking about it. I can't. You just get so burnt out on it. It's 8. No, it's 16. No, it's 32. No, it should be 4. No, how about 6? No, how about enough? All right? Bury it for now. So there is a parity issue. And when you get to the end of the year, in college football, it can be so much fun when you have upsets or great matchups or titanic battles and all that. It can be a lot of fun, certainly. But at the end, it is somewhat anticlimactic. Because it's the same people. Now, don't blame them, but we do need to find some fresh injection of name value for college football. I don't think there's any question about that. The other thing that caught my eye, being a freshly minted Formula One fan, is this month break. So you're thinking, okay, it's a month break, right? Like hell it is. Not for the people who are running these different teams. They've already had one driver leave. First off, Sebastian Vettel retires. All right. Alonso then goes and announces on a press release that he's leaving his team where he's having a reasonably good year. He's leaving Alpine to take Vettel's seat with Aston Martin. Now, that's his right. But you know how how Alpine find out about it? Or is it Alpine? Over there, they say Alpine. I'll say Alpine. They didn't know about it until they saw the press release. He didn't even have the courtesy to go, hey, yeah, I'm leaving. Bye. Nothing. And they can't call him. Why? He's in the Greek Isles. These guys live different lives, okay? So they're highly compensated, and they ain't living like most of us. So Alonso's running around doing God knows what on a yacht just off the Greek islands. Now, what happens? Well, we've got this young driver, Piastri. We'll just plug him. No, you won't. Because Alpine then releases that he's going to drive for them next year, this very promising young driver who's been in their development program. So he's basically on the bench, and he goes, that ain't true. I didn't sign jack. And by the way, I think I'm going to go to McLaren. Well, wait. McLaren has 2 drivers under contract for next year, Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, except the word comes out today that it looks like that Ricciardo, who's very popular among the fans, and he's one of the guys in that Drive to Survive show that comes off really well. Got a great sense of humor. He's also been a winner, and he does have a handful of victories, but he's not having a good year this year. Whether that's him, whether that's the McLaren car, whether it's a combination of both, which is most likely, he's not having a very glorious year. I don't believe he has a podium. There's no way he has a podium. And it's been a down year. So the rumor now, and it might even be a fact, they're going to buy him out. And he had come out a month ago and said, I am staying with McLaren for next year. I am committed to get through all of these problems. And they're not committed to him, apparently. So where does he go? Well, does Alpine seem right? Yes. They have a seat. He's established. But wait a minute. What about Haas? Or Haas, whatever. Because they may have a seat if Mick Schumacher leaves. Well, where's he going to go? Not McLaren, and probably not Alpine. This is fascinating to me. They're shuffling these guys around here, except for like the superstars. We know, that Max Verstappen's under contract to Red Bull. They're not that dumb. People like that. But the rest of it, they call it the silly season. I find it hilarious. Now, it isn't funny to these guys because there's only 20 of these seats. Think about this. You want to talk about specialists. You ever watch a Formula One race? There's 20 cars, 20 seats. That's it. In the world. So you lose one of those, you've really lost something. Now, you could end up in a development team. You could try what Sebastian Grosjean did, which was get into a flaming accident, nearly die, burn your hands, retire from Formula One, and then all of a sudden appear in the United States. You probably don't want to do the first 3/4 of that. But you could, try another form of racing. But, man, if you sat in those seats and had that rush and that lifestyle, and that money, do you really want to do that? Or if you can worm your way into another team? And by the way, whatever McLaren's going to pay Danny Rick, it's going to be a lot of money, man. A lot of money. He'll be able to do the very best neck exercises you've ever seen. All those guys do the neck exercises, by the way. If you're wondering why some of them look like that, he looks like a giraffe, basically. Because they have to do the neck exercises. Because if you watch the races, you see the beating they take, their heads and necks. So anyway, sidebar. How that's going to work out, I don't know. So we don't know yet what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, although we think we know. We don't know yet what's going to happen with Brittney Griner, but we think we know. We don't know what's going to happen with Danny Rick, but we think we know. So there's a lot of thinking going on, and how much of it is going to be right at the end of the day? I don't think I know that. One personal note, hopefully, equipment willing, Bowl TV Saturday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Carolyn Doran Ballard and I will call the next to last PWBA. I believe it's the Pepsi Classic. That'll be Saturday, tomorrow. And we did have a technical issue last night, streaming from distances and all of that didn't quite work, but hopefully we'll have it ready to go Saturday. And on Sunday, on the PBA's YouTube channel, I'll be on the call for the Super Regional from Jonesboro, Arkansas. I don't know who I'm going to be working with yet. We're going to pick up somebody, we think, that didn't make the stepladder final. So you'll see the stepladder final Sunday. And I think that is going to be, you know what? I actually don't know the exact time. It might be 4 or 6, something in that late afternoon range. My apologies. I don't have my phone on me. I could have looked it up. But anyway, go to the PBA YouTube channel and catch me with someone in the professional bowling world. And that's where I'm going to be the next 3 weekends with the PBA on YouTube in Jonesboro, Arkansas, Coldwater. That's right. You'll get to see people get cold watered the following week, and then Chesapeake, Virginia. 3 in a row. Very, very much looking forward to that. So thank you for your time. Appreciate you hanging with me while I rambled all over the place, even more so than usual. And have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much for watching. You've been Noonered.